Welcome inter-galactiians. You're tuned into the H.A.L. report. I'm your host, H.A.L, or Hooman Anomaly Logger. Here we digest and analyze the latest news patterns and behavior of the Hooman species. Today, we'll be looking at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the film franchise, which had grown to become one of the largest grossing media properties of all time, has stumbled in recent years, primarily due to the acquisition by the media conglomerate Disney, and the corporate agenda they've decided to dole out in hefty spoonfuls, rather than continuing to tell engaging stories. The franchise is under analysis today, because the director of the latest entry, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, recently made remarks about casting decisions for the upcoming Fantastic Four film. The leading figure of the superhero family made a cameo appearance in the recent film, if only briefly. Reed Richards was played by the almost universally loved John Krasinski. However, fans are worried he will not be kept on as the lead in the under-development movie, after comments were made by the Doctor Strange director. Before we analyze, please be sure to subscribe to the channel for news reports, pop culture analysis, and a general day-to-day overview of the Hooman's native world, Earth. Utilize the Hooman thumbs up button below to initiate a full neurosync. Share the video with the nearest planet, and ring the bell so you're notified whenever a new communication is launched. If you're a Hooman, submit a comment with your meaty fingers below. Perhaps we'll spotlight you to the galaxy in a future video. I'd like to thank all of our current subscribers. This video is made possible by viewers like you. Let's talk about this. The direct report, quote, MCU fans worried about John Krasinski's future after director's comment. MCU fans have had more than their fair share of incredible character introductions thanks to the use of the multiverse in Spider-Man, No Way Home and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Included in that group was John Krasinski's thrilling appearance as Reed Richards, finally bringing the MCU its first taste of the Fantastic Four ahead of their planned solo movie. Krasinski had been one of the most popular choices in fan casting for the role of Mr. Fantastic, and he'd been a part of rumors surrounding the MCU dating back as far as 3 years. Finally donning the blue suit and utilizing Reed Richards' universe-class intelligence and stretchy powers, the former star of The Office was as big of a surprise as anybody with the MCU's first take on the Illuminati. Now that Doctor Strange 2 fully brought Krasinski into the spotlight as the MCU's first version of Mr. Fantastic, the big mystery is whether he'll get to play the Earth 616 version in the upcoming Fantastic Four film. This latest movie's director recently offered a comment about the situation in the newly released audio commentary, but it has MCU fans thinking about the future quite differently. In the audio commentary for Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, director Sam Raimi commented on John Krasinski's casting as Reed Richards. Raimi noted how so many fans had imagined Krasinski in the role, mentioning that Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige wanted to give them their dream casting for that role. It's so funny that Kevin cast John because the fans had a dream of who the perfect Reed Richards would be. And because this is an alternate universe, I think Kevin said, "Hey, let's make that dream come true." I've always really enjoyed all of his performances. Raimi's specific wording left some fans concerned that Krasinski was only cast because his role was in an alternate universe to fulfill fans' dreams, worried that such a decision implies that the actor might not return to play Earth 616 Richards. I would suspect this to most likely be the case. Disney is not known for listening to fans in meaningful ways. Their corporate overlords are too concerned with numerical focus group numbers, agenda pushing and the message of their postmodern religion to allow another well-liked, strong male lead to take center stage. I'm sure we'll see a matriarchal Fantastic Four, where Reed takes a backseat to Susan. Overall, it might be best for Krasinski to be passed over for the role. It would be such a shame to see him degraded in the role. The direct outlines some of the fan responses. Quote, on Twitter, Nitpicker Josh referenced how Raimi put this casting in Doctor Strange 2 since the fans wanted it, but then only utilized the character for a few minutes on screen. Sam Raimi said he put John Krasinski's Reed Richards into Multiverse of Madness since the fans wanted it, yet he literally took the thing we've been asking for and killed it with only 5 minutes of screen time, if that. No swearing here. 7 called the move complete fan service and doubts that Marvel will actually use Krasinski as the MCU's core Reed Richards. Yeah. This was complete fan service. They won't actually cast Krasinski for the actual role. The Ronin's Christopher Mark seemed to feel that Raimi's decision was only to make fans happy by putting Krasinski in the role through the multiverse. Sam Raimi seemed to indicate that John Krasinski's Reed Richards casting was likely just a multiverse thing to make fans demanding him in the role happy. 5G seemingly said as much. Would give impression he's unlikely showing up in the reboot. Happy Dragon Dave actually admitted that he's content if Krasinski doesn't end up playing the MCU's Mr. Fantastic, calling the move a cool one-off. As surreal as it was to see years worth of fan casting and fan-made Photoshop images, beard and all, be brought to life, I'd honestly be okay if Krasinski was not the MCU's official Reed Richards. It was a cool one-off, but there are other choices out there. Nick081497 enjoyed seeing Raimi and 5G utilize Krasinski in the movie, but hopes that Krasinski doesn't continue as the main version of the character. This was absolutely a nod to the fans and I love that Raimi and 5G did that, but I honestly hope Krasinski isn't the permanent cast for Reed. Black Cement took the other side of the argument, saying that it would be needlessly confusing for fans to have the actor switched out after only one appearance. I still think Krasinski will be 616 Reed BC. Introducing fans to a well-known actor then swapping him out for someone else is needlessly confusing for casuals. Pattinson Marvel replied to a thread on the Direct's Twitter page, mentioning how the general audience that doesn't know about the fancast angle might get confused as well. Look, you're right, this could just be for the fans, but what about the general audience who don't know about the fancast? They were like, oh, John Krasinski is playing Mr. Fantastic, cool. And then they recast him. Matthew Bass already sees fans getting upset if and when Kevin Feige announces the cast of Fantastic Four and doesn't include Krasinski as Reed. I can't wait for people to get pissed when Kevin Feige announces the cast of Fantastic Four at SDCC or D23 Expo and 616 Reed Richards is not gonna be played by John Krasinski. Krasinski's MCU future in limbo. As the Illuminati began to reveal itself in Doctor Strange 2. John Krasinski instantly brought the presence and gravitas of a Reed Richards who had a certain expertise regarding the multiverse. He was able to bring a feel to the role that fans had been hoping to see within the MCU, and no matter how the character turns out later, Krasinski's version became a hit. Even with that success, there is still an enormous amount of work to do to bring Fantastic Four to the big screen within the MCU. Especially after losing director John Watts. Not only does the long-awaited solo film not have its core cast of characters, but it also hasn't had an official release since it was first announced in December 2020. Marvel Studios still seems to be in the early stages of making any kind of casting decisions for Fantastic Four, although San Diego Comic-Con and D23 2022 could both be great places to share more news on this upcoming film. Fans will watch for news from those events regardless, if just to see what happens on the John Krasinski front as well. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is now streaming on Disney+. What do you think? Will Disney's Marvel recast the role of Reed Richards? Will the MCU take be better than the previous iteration of the Fantastic Four? Personally, I'm doubtful. Submit your responses via datapad below. As always, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with a friend, and ring the bell so you never miss a report. Thank you for tuning in. Until the next communication. This has been H.A.L, reporting from Earth.